The cafe was unusually quiet for a Monday morning, the kind of silence that almost felt heavy, until it was broken by the piercing wail of a baby. Heads turned, brows furrowed, and whispers filled the air. At the center of it all sat a man in a tailored navy suit, his wristwatch gleaming like a trophy. He was unmistakably out of place among chipped coffee mugs and peeling wallpaper. Ethan Ward, a millionaire CEO known for his ruthless deals and impenetrable composure. Yet in that moment, his polished image cracked. His infant daughter, cradled in his arms, screamed uncontrollably, and no amount of bouncing or hushed pleading could soothe her. Behind the counter, Anna, the cafe's newest waitress, froze mid-step. She was 24, juggling night classes and double shifts to pay her mother's hospital bills. Life had taught her to stay invisible, serve quietly, smile politely, never intrude. But as she watched Ethan struggle, something in her heart tugged. The baby's tiny fists waved helplessly, her cries sharper, and Ethan's jaw tightened with rare desperation. He wasn't just a CEO now, he was a father drowning in helplessness. Anna's co-workers whispered for her to ignore it. "That's his problem, not ours," one muttered. But Anna couldn't peel her eyes away. The sound of the baby's sobs seemed to echo her own childhood memories, lonely nights when no one came to comfort her. Her hands trembled as she set down the tray she was carrying. Against every instinct to stay in her lane, she stepped forward. Customers watched in shock as the poor waitress in a faded apron walked up to the millionaire's table, her voice gentle but steady. "Sir," she said softly, "may I try something?" Ethan's cold, tired eyes lifted. Silence swept the cafe. And that was the moment everything changed. For a moment, Ethan just stared at Anna, as if unsure whether he had heard her correctly. No one ever dared to step into his world uninvited, especially not someone in a faded apron with coffee stains on the hem. His first instinct was to dismiss her, but the baby's cries grew louder, echoing painfully against the cafe's walls. Desperation cracked his pride. With a reluctant nod, he handed the child over. Anna's co-workers gasped. Customers leaned in, whispering. To them, it was madness, a millionaire CEO trusting a poor waitress with something more precious than his fortune. But as soon as the baby nestled into Anna's arms, her cries softened. Anna began humming a lullaby her mother used to sing, her voice low, soothing, almost magical. Within minutes, the baby stopped wailing and clung to Anna's apron with tiny fingers. The cafe fell into stunned silence. Ethan's expression shifted from disbelief to something no one expected, gratitude. For a man who commanded boardrooms and made billion-dollar decisions, being vulnerable was foreign territory. Yet here he was, humbled by a stranger who had succeeded where he had failed. Anna felt every pair of eyes on her, but her focus was on the fragile weight in her arms. For the first time in months, she wasn't just the invisible waitress struggling through bills and exhaustion. She was someone who mattered, someone who had done the unthinkable. Ethan finally spoke, his voice quieter than anyone had ever heard it. "How did you?" Anna hesitated, unsure whether to explain or retreat back into anonymity. She had crossed an invisible line between her world and his, and nothing felt the same. For the first time in years, Anna allowed herself a dangerous thought: maybe this moment could change everything. The silence in the cafe shattered as whispers turned sharp. "Look at her, showing off," one customer scoffed. "She just wants attention," another muttered. Even Anna's co-workers exchanged smirks, shaking their heads as if she had crossed an unforgivable boundary. To them, a poor waitress didn't belong in the same frame as a millionaire CEO. Anna felt the sting of their judgment. Heat rose to her cheeks, and for a second, she considered handing the baby back and disappearing behind the counter where she belonged. Her place had always been in the shadows, serving plates, scrubbing tables, and carrying burdens no one cared to see. But then, the little girl in her arms cooed softly, gripping Anna's finger with a trust so pure it made the room's cruel whispers fade. She drew a deep breath and began rocking gently, humming louder now, not just to soothe the baby, but to steady herself. Her voice carried an old folk tune, tender and melodic, one her mother had sung when pain and poverty felt unbearable. The song filled the cafe, weaving through the tense air until even the harshest onlookers went quiet. When the final note lingered, the baby had fallen asleep, her tiny chest rising peacefully against Anna's apron. The cafe was still. Ethan's sharp eyes studied Anna with new curiosity, as though he were seeing past her uniform for the first time. His usual mask of power and indifference cracked just slightly, replaced with something more human, wonder. The same customers who had mocked now exchanged hushed words of surprise. And for the first time, Anna stood taller, no longer invisible. She hadn't just calmed a crying child, she had silenced a room full of doubters. Recognition had finally found her. The cafe manager stormed out from the back, his face red with anger. "Anna," he barked, loud enough for everyone to hear. "What on earth do you think you're doing? This is a cafe, not a daycare. Hand the baby back and get back to work, now." The room froze. Customers shifted uncomfortably, sensing the collision about to erupt. Anna's heart pounded. She could feel the weight of humiliation pressing down, the fear of losing the job she desperately needed. Without it, the bills, the medication, her mother's treatments, everything would collapse. For a fleeting second, she thought about apologizing, about shrinking back into the obedient waitress no one noticed. But then the baby stirred in her arms, tiny fingers tightening around Anna's apron. That small gesture gave her courage. Anna lifted her chin, her voice steady though her knees trembled. "I wasn't neglecting my work. I was helping someone who needed it. Isn't that worth something?" The cafe went utterly still. Her words hung in the air, stronger than she expected, and for once, she didn't back down. The manager opened his mouth to scold her again, but Ethan Ward rose from his seat, commanding attention without saying a word. His presence alone silenced the room. "She did more than help," he said firmly. "She accomplished what I couldn't. That deserves respect, not punishment." Gasps rippled across the cafe. Anna blinked in disbelief. Had the most powerful man in the room just offended her? Her chest tightened, not with fear, but with a strange, soaring pride. She had stood her ground. She had faced down doubt and ridicule, and somehow, she had won. In that moment, Anna realized she wasn't invisible anymore. The cafe slowly returned to its rhythm, but nothing felt the same. Customers who had once sneered at Anna now approached her table with softened eyes, some even offering quiet words of praise. The baby slept peacefully, her tiny breaths a gentle reminder of the storm that had just passed. Ethan watched Anna closely, as though memorizing the way she had transformed the chaos into calm. When Anna finally returned the child, Ethan's hand lingered. "You have a gift," he said quietly. "Not just for children, for people. You see what others overlook." Those words struck deeper than she expected. For years, Anna had been invisible, just another struggling waitress surviving shift to shift. But in that moment, she felt seen, truly seen, for the first time. The manager, humbled by Ethan's public defense, muttered something about good initiative, and slunk away, leaving Anna standing taller than ever. Whispers spread through the cafe, not of scorn this time, but admiration. People would remember the girl in the faded apron who dared to do the unthinkable. Later that night, as Anna walked home beneath the glow of streetlights, she thought about the baby's tiny hand clutching hers, about the silence that had fallen when her song filled the cafe, about the way Ethan's gratitude had cracked his cold exterior. For the first time in years, hope stirred in her chest. Life hadn't changed overnight, her bills and burdens still waited. But something inside her had shifted. She was no longer the invisible girl hiding in the background. She was the waitress who silenced a crowded cafe, who reminded even a millionaire CEO what compassion looked like. And as she stepped into the quiet night, Anna carried with her a truth she would never forget: sometimes the smallest acts of courage create the loudest echoes.